Good morning, good afternoon, good night to whatever time that you may be watching. We are back and in full effect for the Daily Dolla Digest tonight. It is a very special edition as I am joined by a very special, very distinguished guest. This man is truly one of the top wide receiver prospects to ever grace a Garland ISD football field. Granted, it was over 10 plus years ago, but the fact remains true. From there, he took his talents onto South Baptist University, where he totaled over 100 catches and 1,000 yards in his collegiate career, all while simultaneously getting his Master's of Science in Activity Admin. He flipped that to being a wide receiver, tight end in the Fan Control Football League, then spent some time coaching up north, where he was the Chicago Bulls college prep athletic coordinator and football coach. Now, my guy, he is back in the humble beginnings in GISD, where it all began, where the dream started way back when, actually coaching for a rival of our alma mater at North Garland High School. I am joined by a man from the days of school, was known by his first and his last name, Mr. Chris Robb. How you doing tonight, Chris?
Man, that's beautiful, man. That's the best introduction I ever got, man. I appreciate that, bro.
No problem, man. You doing all right tonight?
Man, I'm blessed, man. It's doing great. Just been working, been, trying to get ready for the upcoming season, upcoming year. So just been grinding, man. It's been good, though. How you been?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I appreciate you for asking, man. It is definitely a blessing to hear that you're doing great, and even more of a blessing to see that you are doing great, my brother. So I appreciate you, man. Well, tell me about your time at SBU. What was the college football experience like for you?
Man, it was different. It was different than what I came up in, small town school, Bolivar, Missouri. It wasn't a history of winning up there, you know what I'm saying? So I signed to play basketball and football up there. That's kind of the main reason why I went up there. Mm-hmm. They're one of the only schools that kind of offered me to play both. So, I went up there, ended up sticking with football. And then, my freshman year, I broke my leg. So I had to, I had the red shirt the next year, and then, the comeback was fighting those injuries and things like that. But, it turned out great. We ended up being the first team ever to make it to the NCAA playoffs, first team ever to win the conference for football. And, we changed the culture up there, at least for that time anyways. My coach, Coach Clardy, was, an amazing role model for me. He always believed in me. He was kind of one of the guys that recruited me. I went through 3 head coaches when I went up there, but wow. I stayed true to him because at the time I didn't really know what recruiting was in high school. So they would come to all my games, all my basketball games, and they truly believed in me. So stuck with them, and it all paid off. We got us a conference ring, and made it to the playoffs. So everything was, ended up how I kind of envisioned it going up there. So.
Man, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, man. Just being a part of that and seeing that culture change, coming in to the school that wasn't too familiar with winning, and you and the crew that was there that came in with you, y'all were able to change that, shift the stigma around the program, around the campus, around the time that you left. So, man, that's beautiful. That's great. Now, you said that you had 3 different coaches during your tenure at SBU. What was one thing that stood out to you most that you may carry with you today from that college football experience?
Man, we're in the era of the transfer portal, you know what I'm saying? And I personally feel like you just gotta stay true to it, stay true to the grind. You're not gonna like it, everywhere. But I feel like if you stick with it, I've always been kind of like a loyal guy as far as with really everything. You know what I'm saying? Friends, I got the same friends I've had since middle school, high school. I got my college friends I talk to still to this day. And it would have, like, hindsight, I could have went to another school, a bigger school. Probably, I had a couple D1 offers coming after the first coach left, and in high school I could have went somewhere else. But it just taught me to, you got to appreciate where you are. Not everything's going to be perfect, but if you make it, if you appreciate where you are and you appreciate, the things that are around you, the people that are around you, it is what you make it everywhere you go. You know what I'm saying? You can be in a perfect spot. Some people could be in a perfect place and still feel vulnerable, like miserable. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So, at the end of the day, just taught me that. It taught me to, stay true to the grind. Being up there, I was going into my sophomore year, because I started sophomore, junior, and senior year. I think I was fourth string or something like that. And then going to that next season, I did not start since then. So, just stay true to it, and then just work hard. It'll always pay off. The cream will always rise to the top at the end of the day.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. It's all about taking it all in, trusting the process, and staying true to the commitment that you decided. Staying all 4 years, staying loyal to the program, being committed to your teammates, being committed to the program, even though I'm sure you had different offers from schools that were beating down your door to get you to their program. But going in to your college career, after college, after you realized maybe the NFL wasn't an opportunity that presented itself to you, how did you get into the FCF, the Fan Control Football League?
Yeah, so, I had my pro day after my senior year. It was okay. I had a couple workouts with some teams, but nothing really stuck for real. And then, I had a couple CFL workouts at the end, towards the end of, the beginning of COVID, rather. I had a CFL opportunity and in a private workout that I had got, and they really liked me. The team liked me. I'm not gonna say who it was, but I ended up going to the indoor football league, Quad City Steamwheelers in Moline, and so I signed with them with the training camp, earned a spot. And, was up there, we played our first game, and then COVID hit. So it was shocking to everybody. We didn't, I didn't know what was going on for real. So like when we left originally, the league was supposed to come back. I think it was May 4th. We left in like March. So May 4th, we were supposed to come back. I think it was like May 4th. And, everybody was going to, report back to camp, report back to, the city that they had signed in and continue the season. But, that didn't end up happening. At this time, in the IFL, there's a lot of players that was going from the IFL to the NFL. So, I kind of was still like, I could, still get a shot or whatever. I had, a couple contacts in the NFL that I was talking to,
right.
A couple coaches and a couple, just staff members that I had, kind of ran across during workouts.
Are you able to, possibly name drop any of those teams that you were out there?
I can name one. One was the Jets. My pro day was actually at the Chiefs practice facility. And
that's
the
awesome.
Chiefs, Patriots, Jets were there.
Okay.
Who else was there? I think the Panthers were there too. But that was kind of like it was all a part of the plan. Went up there, COVID hit, and so we were all sitting down for however long, and then eventually went to Bismarck. I was in for the IFL Bismarck Bucks. Went up there. I was also doing my master's at the time, and so it wasn't for me, honestly. I was trying to finish my master's, and it was just a lot that I could try to handle. And ironically, I finished my master's in the FCF, but I went. A quarterback that was in Quad City was in the FCF prior, and so he was like, "Hey, you still trying to play?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." And so, he shot me this guy's number, one of the head guys at the FCF, he said, we got a workout coming out in Dallas in a couple of weeks. And so at this point, I had already been training, since I left Bismarck, I had been training, and I was probably, the best shape of my life at this point.
Right.
I got up to like 235. So I was like, yeah, for sure. So I went out there, pretty much dominated. I was probably the best player at the camp.
Yeah.
And then, they sent the contract like 2 days later. And then that was pretty much it. So I was flying to Atlanta that following February or March.
Yeah, Rob, just looking at your FCF highlights, it was clear to see that you were clearly one of the best players out there on that football field, for sure.
It was fun, man. I definitely enjoyed the time, leading up to it. It was all about, like I said, the grind and just embracing the process. Because at that point, I was kind of like conflicted, like, am I going to play again? Like, I was looking for jobs and things like that, but just kind of stayed true to it.
So how was that experience like for you, being in the Fan Control Football League?
Man, it was probably, they really did it to the point where, like, you really kind of felt like you were a big league. Like, we were, obviously we had housing and we had 3 meals a day. They had, had people come in and cook for us. It was incredible, man, just to see how everything kind of came together, because this was their second year.
Yeah.
And they allowed fans to come in this year,
Right.
The year that I went up there.
Right.
So, it was already big. Johnny Manziel had already played in the year before. I ended up playing on Johnny Manziel and T.O.'s team. And so, just seeing, that was my favorite player ever growing up, you know what I'm saying? So, seeing him come in, all the cameras and things like that. And, I was number 80, he was number 81. So we had our locker right next to each other. And, I just kind of was talking to him, pretty much the whole time I was up there, really trying to, just sponge off of him, trying to, get as much info as I can. I wasn't trying to be like a fanned out,
Right.
But at the end of the day, that's Terrell, that's, a top 5 receiver ever.
Exactly.
So I was just like, man, I just asking him, just little questions, and end up talking to him, and it was definitely something that I would, cherish, just being around those guys. Terrence Williams from the Cowboys was on my team at one point.
Okay.
Tavis Bryant. A lot of celebrities and NFL players would come to the games. Cam Newton was at the games. Chad Johnson. Antonio Brown. Just Dwight Howard was even at the game sometimes. So it was definitely cool, man. And all the teams were owned by like celebrities or people that are famous in their field.
Right.
And then the team I ended up on, Druski was the owner.
That's
so he would come
funny.
into the locker room, and he would give pep talks. He'd be out of there, but give pep talks, and it was a lot of fun, man. Seeing a lot of people that you wouldn't see regularly or you see on TV, just kind of rubbing elbows with them. You'll see them after that, like a little bar or whatever, or like a restaurant, and they know who you are, and they're like, oh, you caught this pass, or we watched you win this game. And it was definitely something that kind of like solidified me as like, okay, I know I can play with these guys. Most definitely.
And you touched on a couple of people that you said that you were teammates with. Terrell Owens, Hall of Fame wide receiver, top 5 all time in NFL history. You got to rub elbows with other NFL legends, stars, celebrities, the whole 9. But teammate wise, who did you kind of gravitate towards and learn from during your time in the league?
Man, I had a group that and they weren't like people that didn't play in the NFL, but guys that I really got close with, and that are definitely NFL talent. A couple of them are still playing right now, but I had Tommy Oj. He was just in the I think it's called the Mexican Football League, the LFA or something like that. Yeah. He, it was him, this guy, tight end receiver, Josh Johnson, DeMarcus Carradine, all those guys, just they definitely kept me grounded. My roommate, I call him Gump. But he was also, incredible and just helping me just kind of, it's Atlanta. So I have family down there. So I didn't really feel out of place like I was in Bismarck. I can try to navigate where I'm at. But, they really on the day to day, just, we always working together. We always doing drills, playing video games, going out to eat, things like that. So, every day we all kind of just, hung out and kind of just kicked it, and it made it a great experience for me.
Man, it sounds like you definitely built a tight-knit family with the teammates that you had. That's definitely what's important. Finding those people that you all gravitate towards each other, like-minded individuals, that iron is sharpening iron at the end of the day, and you were able to find a family with those guys that you were in the trenches with, and that's definitely most important. But leading into your second venture of life sees you now instead coaching instead of playing. Why did you choose to start coaching and teaching students?
It was kind of something that was always kind of in the cards for me, I guess. I graduated in marketing and finance, and I graduated sports marketing rather. And I wanted to be in marketing. I still, I have like side things that I do in marketing and sports marketing. But my whole family is full of educators, and coming up, I always want to give back. Even at Saxe, we used to have those those camps, those summer camps, right. And I would volunteer every year to just help with the kids, pass the ball to the kids, teach them a little something, try to give something back every single year. So it was really kind of natural. Teaching was extremely hard to jump into. Coaching was rather easy, but right. It's just something you had to adjust to, and teaching makes you a better, vocal person, as far as like public speaking in front of people, but it also makes you a better leader, so you can control, groups and things like that. So, especially in Chicago, they definitely need it up there. And, what the thing is for me, as far as teaching, I feel like, all of my teachers that I really truly love were like great people,
right?
And great people person. So like, just trying to build a relationship with them before anything, because especially up there, they respect that, and then they'll be like, okay, like they really care about me. Then like, I'll rock with them. I'll listen to them, and because I feel like they really got my future. They really want like the best for me in the future. So
exactly.
That's what I was doing up there. Brought it down here. Obviously, it's a different culture, but bring the same thing. Kids are kids at the end of the day. Kids go through a lot. Everything's not about school. You know what I'm saying? They're people at the end of the day, and so you have to treat them as such. And so I think a lot of kids respect that.
Yes, sir. That's important. We were once kids once upon a time, so we actually understand the dynamic that must be built, that trust that must be built. We have to learn these kids first before actually trying to teach and express to them, because that'll help with them creating that level of respect, and even more to being open and honest with us, for sure. But before we close out the show, tell me a little something that you're doing for yourself, community work, or just something for the youth, something positive for the people.
I try to do a little something, everywhere I go. So I'll just go back real quick. So in Chicago, I started after school program. It was called The Program. And so, kids would come over. I reserved a gym in the school, and, we just hoop. You know what I'm saying? We just play basketball with, so, if they had a little homework or whatever, they could do it. Most of them try to, just play the basketball or whatever, but, controlled environment, no nonsense, just, competition. I worked at the Boys and Girls Club up there. And it was all kind of entwined. I go over there right after school. I would walk over there because it's right across the street. Go over there, play ball with them, hang out with the kids. Here, sort of the same. Right now I'm working at a PSA, Plano Sports Authority, camp director. working with the sports camps, just trying to give back, trying to teach people to teach kids the game, football, mostly basketball this summer because a lot of turnout for basketball. Just trying to just keep these kids encouraged. Going up obviously for the summer camps and summer workouts. Pretty much trying to go up there every single day if I'm not working, just to kind of get them ready because there's a culture change that's needed to happen, and I think that's what's happening right now. So just trying to give back, trying to do what I have to do to make these kids and help these kids grow and be. I feel like they have a chance to really make a run at it this year. So, gotta instill it in them. They gotta understand that they're capable of doing it. So I think that's what we're trying to do right now.
Man, that's beautiful. What you're doing sounds like an after-school program that I actually got to be a part of way back when I was in middle school, a part of the AVID program for kids that got to meet up after school. And while we were still in school at the same time, we're hooping, getting involved in certain activities, games, and then we're in a controlled environment afterwards where we're able to still learn, we're able to build that camaraderie more and just stay out the way, stay out of trouble. Because as you know, as youth, as kids, as adolescents, trouble can tend to find you regardless of where you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Well, Rob, man, it has been a blessing having you on, man. I truly appreciate your time and providing us with more insight about you, your life, and your career.
Hey, man, this was beautiful. I'd love to come on again and talk sports with you, just hang it. We talk about whatever, man. You always been my guy. So, I appreciate you for reaching out to me about this. I do it a million times. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I said I would have you on, and I am a man of my word. Like what Tony Montana say, all we have at the end of the day is our word and our boss. And I tend to stick to them both, man. But man, have a blessed night, man. I appreciate you again for your time, big dog. You ever want to come back on the 3D, want to get schooled in a debate,
so
any few topics, man, you just let me know. I'll have you right back on.
I'm ready to talk about whatever, man. But yeah, definitely. Just let me know, man. I'm a phone call away.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. And best of luck to you in North Garland on this upcoming season.
All right, man. You too. All right, thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is all the time that I do have on tonight's episode of 3D. I appreciate you guys for sticking it out with me and Mr. Chris Robb on a special edition of interviews for the Daily Dollar Digest. I will be back again next week to give you guys some more insight, to give you guys some more scoop. Man, I appreciate y'all for sticking it out with me. I'll see y'all again next time. Peace.